All right, hello everyone. My name is Giles Eady. I'm Associate Dean of Undergraduate Admission at Emory University. I had the pleasure working with my colleagues to admit each and every one of you to Emory. It was a process where we were very intentional um, about the decisions we made, and we admitted each and every one of you for a particular reason. And so we are hopeful that you all can join us at Emory this year. We've got some wonderful things planned. And I don't think that the things we have planned could really happen without you. Really hope that you join us at Emory. And so I'm going to pass off to my colleagues to introduce themselves. Next, I see on my screen is Sherry Ibrahimi.
Hey everyone, welcome. We're so happy you're with us tonight. I'm Sherry Ibrahimi. I'm an Emory alum, class of '97, and I'm so excited to welcome you into our community. I'm going to talk about housing tonight. I work in the Office of Housing and Residence Life.
All right, and then next I see Jill Camper.
Hi everyone, my name is Jill Camper and I serve as the Director of New Student Programs in the College of Arts and Sciences, so I oversee your orientation.
All right, and last but not least, Rebecca Rigo.
Hi everyone, congratulations on your admission to Emory. My name is Rebecca Rigo and I am an Assistant Director of Academic Advising. So I will be here to answer all of your questions about registration, academics at Emory, and academic advising. I'm looking forward to talking to you tonight.
Right, so we have a wonderful team of people here that can really answer a lot of questions that you might have. So the format for this session is that we're going to give you a little bit of information to start things off. And then after we give the information, we're going to open it up for any questions that you might have. So this is kind of loose. If you want to type your question in the chat, you certainly may. We'll be monitoring that. Or if you feel like you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, you're certainly welcome to do so as well. So to get things started, I'm going to pass it over to Jill Camper.
Thank you, Jill. So a little insider info for this group that will be going out soon, but I have the dates for your orientation. So the orientation dates for transfer students is going to be Sunday, August 2nd through Tuesday, August 24th, with your first day of classes being on August 25th. And Sherry will talk about move-in and kind of housing and what that's going to look like. But for your orientation, just a little bit about what you can expect. We have a really good mix of academic prep and exploration and social events. So transfer orientation is much different than we do for the first years. It's much more chill because you all have done college before. So we don't have to teach you how to do college. You already know how to that, and obviously you do it very well because you're here with us, but we want to make sure that you get connected to Emory, what our offerings are, and each other. So we have some fun social events, and you'll be meeting with Rebecca for a couple hours one day, and she's going to make sure that you are good to go to start classes and for your good to go for your semester. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we will be emailing you out some more information throughout the summer, so you can be on the lookout for that.
And Jill, we were just told that you cut out a little bit when you gave the dates. So if you can give those one more time.
Of course I cut out when I gave the dates. August 22nd through August 24th.
And this orientation will be in person, correct?
Yes, and there could be a couple online components to it, but a great deal of it will be in person, yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Jill. And so next, pass it on to the wonderful Sherry Ibrahimi. You're on mute, Sherry.
You all would think after a year and a half of Zoom, I could unmute myself. So happy to see over 100 of you here. We're thrilled that you'll be joining us on campus. And I'm here to let you know that we have on-campus housing available for you all. after you make your deposit, it usually takes the system 24 to 48 hours, and you'll be able to go to your My Housing page. All of this is on our website, but myhousing.emory.edu. And that's our portal for everything housing. When you get there, you'll be able to fill out an application. You can write us at housing@emory.edu if it's not there. And list your preferences. Most of what we have are, double rooms. We encourage people to live and be part of the community. We feel very strongly about that. Emory University requires all sophomores to live on campus. We are just making it strongly recommended for your group because we know you're coming from different places, different experiences. And honestly, we did that this year because we just didn't know where we would be with COVID. But luckily the last 2 months have been so wonderful with the vaccine coming out and folks getting vaccinated. And really in the last couple months, Emory has made the decision to try to, make fall look more like 2 years ago, certainly than last year. So we're going to have full capacity on campus. We're going to welcome everyone back and have our social events, and we're really, really excited about that. We were happy that we were able to host so many students safely this year. But with all the protocols, it just wasn't the same. So the President Finvez has sent out his letter expecting all of us sort of to return to normal, and we're excited to welcome you. We have a lot of housing I have blocked for transfer students, so you all can have sort of a community together. The two places mainly that we have a lot of housing open for you all is on Eagle Row, and then in our Claremont campus in the Claremont Tower. So Eagle Row is in the middle of campus. Typically just first and second years live in the middle of campus, but Eagle Row has a lot of fraternity houses, sorority houses, and theme houses. And so juniors and seniors that are in the middle of campus either live there or, maybe they're RAs in buildings in the main part of campus. But there's a couple of theme communities I want to highlight that still have spaces. They do special programming, have extra staff, and do a lot of neat things sort of with their theme. We have the BSA, the Black Student Alliance House. And it's a super vibrant community in House 22, which is the house sort of adjacent to the PE Center. If you've been on campus or seen a campus map, the application for that is on the housing website. If you fill out the application, the director of that program, Greg Hollinger, who works in Residence Life, will be back in touch with you probably within 24 to 48 hours. Also, MWOW, Media Arts Literature at Emory, is a very vibrant community. I think the only reason there's spaces still in there, because it's usually super sought after, is because of COVID, right? They didn't have sort of the same number of return students. So they're in House 20, right next to 22. So that sort of end of the row. There's still some spaces in that left. Across the street in House 15, it's probably the nicest house on the row. There's suite style bedrooms in that house. That's what I'm blocking, about 40 spaces for transfer students. So it is a situation where you share your bedroom, but it's suite style with another bedroom on the other side. And right there at the end of the row, right next to parking, overlooks the softball field. It's a beautiful house. So we have house there. We have that there. We're thinking about blocking some of our transfer business school students together. We have a couple of other houses that have space along the row where we might do that. And if you look on our website, Claremont Campus, the tower. So it's an apartment. You do share a bedroom, but you have a huge living room space and kitchen, and some of them have balconies. that also has plenty of space for transfer students as well. There's other places here and there, so just apply and list your preferences. We do encourage you to meet each other. There's a transfer student Facebook group, I know, and pair up and find roommates. And I don't know if they're on the call here, but I have already had 2 women who are transfer students match with each other, and I went ahead and put them in housing. So it's sort of first come, first serve, rolling sort of with placing people. Be patient with us. We're just finishing up our upper class and sophomore housing right now. But if you write us at housing@emory.edu, we'll get back to you as soon as possible and assign you as soon as possible. In the My Housing in your My Housing portal, there is the opportunity in your application to go ahead and match with roommates. So just make sure, you list someone, then they have to accept you, and you'll be fully matched. And that's how we know you have a roommate that you want to live with. So, and I know I'll answer a lot of questions here at the end. I don't know if you want me to do that now, or if Rebecca wants to go, and then.
Well, while your motor's running, I guess we can go ahead and answer questions. I saw one that, we probably need to just make explicitly clear about housing. Is it mandatory or not? Is it mandatory for any group?
It is not mandatory this year for any group.
Okay. So that one's explicitly clear. So you heard it from the woman herself. So it is not mandatory for anyone to.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended, yes, but not mandatory for any transfer student to live on campus. And the next question I saw with that, are there singles available?
There are a few singles available, and you can put that in your preferences on the application. There are limited, just like for all of our students in housing, it's limited.
And are there opportunities for students to have private bathrooms and bedrooms for junior transfers?
So that is the opportunity. Again, put that in your application. There will be very few private bed and bath. There will be a handful of private bedroom shared bath.
And lastly, but not least, just to confirm, a student has completed their housing application, and when will they be matched?
So we encourage you to try to match on your own. But if you just filled out an application and you said, I'm open to having a double room, and, match me when, every week from here till August, we'll be doing room assignments. I'll look for someone else with an application that filled out their preferences similar to yours. We had a student panel help us figure out what sort of the 10 most important things were, right? It's like, are you a smoker? Are you, even though we don't allow it on campus, you don't want to live with someone that maybe if you're super allergic or whatever. What temperature do you keep your bedroom? When do you go to bed? Are you open to sharing your items or not? Things like that. And that's sort of how we pair people together if they're unmatched.
All right. So I think we'll hold it right there for a few minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and answer the question I just saw. Do all dorms have air conditioning?
Yes.
We're in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, they have to have air conditioning.
And transfer students can all bring cars to campus. It's only first years that can't.
Okay. All right. So pass it over to the great Rebecca Rigo to give her a little shot, and then we'll come back and take questions.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about academics. I mentioned in the chat that there's going to be a full hour-long academic session on May 20th, where I'll be going over transfer credit evaluation. So hopefully by now you've received a transfer credit evaluation from admissions, outlining the credits that you will be able to bring in from your previous institution. So those are unofficial documents. We'll be walking through those. And so I won't go into too much detail now, since they are very individualized, and I know you all might have specific questions depending on your own situations. But just make a note that that session will be happening on the 20th at 5 p.m. And we can talk more about that then. You should know that advising is going to begin on June 1st, and it's going to go throughout the month of June. So June 30th, we hope to wrap up all our advising for transfer students. And the initial period where you will have to register for fall classes will be June 7th through 8th. So it's, I think it's like a 25-hour period where you can log in and add your classes for the fall. So once you have deposited, you'll be able to start adding classes. We'll be advising some students before then, and then some students throughout the month of June. You'll have another opportunity to register on June 21st. So if you didn't get all your classes or didn't get a chance to register that initial registration period, you'll have another chance to do that later in June, and that will remain open through July. The one thing I would suggest that you do before the session, the academic information session on May 20th, and of course before your advising appointment, is to review the course catalog. I'm going to drop that in the chat here to see all of the classes that Emory is going to be offering in the fall. You'll see that most of our classes are going to be in person based on what Sherry and Giles have mentioned in the chat with the move to bringing everyone back to campus. So we're really excited for that. And the other resource that I would suggest you review is the catalog. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. You can see all of Emory's general education requirements there, as well as all of the requirements for every major and minor that Emory offers. So take a look at that, and we can, I'm happy to answer any questions today, and definitely we can dive more deeper into it on May 20th.
All right, so I saw a question that popped in that I can take with the credit evaluations. If you've not received yours, you'll be receiving it shortly, within this week or next. We're working, my team is working around the clock to get those done for you, so they'll be to you soon. So I did see some other academic advising questions. So I see one is, when will a student receive their academic advisor, or when will they be assigned their academic advisor?
Yeah, great question. So once you deposit, we will be sending you an email with who your advisor is and how to schedule appointments. So those appointments won't start until June 1st, but we will start sending out those emails about advisor assignments and how to schedule towards mid to the end of May.
And with adding classes on the Opus, they won't be able to do that until they meet with your team, correct?
We will allow you to register before you meet with us. We would like you to meet with us beforehand, but if you can't, because registration is a little bit unique this year, that's not a problem. We can meet with you afterwards and go over your schedule, and you'll still have a chance to change your schedule. So if possible, we'll meet with you beforehand. If not, we'll meet with you at some point during June. That is a requirement for all transfer students.
And for the answer a question I just saw pop in, yes, the credit evaluations will be emailed directly to you. So another question, and it's a common question, Rebecca, that I get from prospective transfers, is when can they declare a major at Emory?
Yeah, transfer students can declare a major at any point. So once you have submitted your deposit and you're officially an Emory student, when you meet with your advisor, we can send you the link to be able to do that. And we do encourage transfer students to do that as soon as possible, because once you declare your major, you'll be assigned a faculty advisor, and we want you to be able to meet with your faculty advisor before the start of the semester.
Lovely. So I do see a question regarding credits. Someone wants to know if it's common for students who have completed 2 years of college to only be considered second years at Emory. And I'm going to just answer real quick and say it depends, but I know Rebecca's got a more detailed answer to that.
Yeah, it does depend. So the way that Emory defines your class year is very much dependent on your credit. So it's not really how many years you've been in college, it's the number of credits that you are transferring into Emory. So any student who has less than 30 credits is considered a first year, less than 60 is considered a sophomore, and less than 90 is considered a junior. Anyone who has 90 or above is considered a senior. So if you've spent 2 years at your previous institution, but you're transferring in 54 credits, no, you said you're a sophomore, and you're transferring in less than 30 credits, then we still consider you a first year.
Right. And there was a question about online courses. So will we give credit for those? And the answer is yes, because we do know that most of you have been taking courses online, especially this past year. So yes, credit can be granted for those. I do see a question about coming into the business school as a transfer student. So yes, if you are a second year transfer, being that you're going into your second year, that you certainly can apply to the business school. It does require, if you're not transferring directly into the business school, it does require that you spend at least 1 year at Emory College, but certainly that is a possibility. And so Rebecca, another question I see that would be good for you to answer. Many of the students have taken AP and IB courses in high school. What happens to those courses should they come to Emory?
Yeah, so I just posted in the chat the AP/IB equivalency chart. And so you can see based on the scores that you earned on those exams, what credit you would be eligible to earn here at Emory. There's a cap of 12 credits. So the maximum number of AP or IB credits that you can to Emory is 12, and that is included in your overall 62 credit limit that you can bring in as a transfer student.
So I see a question about the business school. If you are a junior transfer, unfortunately, no, you can't switch to the business school. That had to be an option. Had to be something to let us know in the beginning with the application process. But no, you couldn't switch to the business school as a junior transfer. Only transfers that can apply for the business school are going to be sophomore transfers. All right. So I see another question that I know that's going to come up a lot is the person said they've not finished their spring 2021 semester. It's not finished for most people, so you're not alone there. And they don't have a final transcript, of course, because it's not completed. So what will happen with transfer credits? And so we'll need you to submit that final transcript to us. And Rebecca, we said September, correct?
Yep, I think it was, I don't remember the exact date, but it's by the first day of classes, I think is when we need that final transcript.
And once we receive that final transcript, the credits that you earned this semester will be factored into your credit evaluation as well. All right. So dual enrollment courses, they do kind of work like AP and IBs, correct, Rebecca?
Dual enrollment courses. That's a good question. You can't have earned credit to count towards your high school degree, but if they're outside of your high school degree, you can send your transcript to the Office of Admissions and they will evaluate it to determine if you can earn credit for it.
And with the AP scores, I see a person's asking a question about should they submit the scores? So if you accepted AP credit at your current college, it actually appears on your transcript. And so we have that already, and it's already been factored into your credit evaluation already. In some cases, if you've taken a higher level course than the AP class that you've taken, then we get to go ahead and give you credit for that instead of just the AP class.
Yeah, we still do need those AP credits though, because every institution gives credit for different scores. So at Emory, you need to have a 4 or 5 on most exams in order to be given credit, and other institutions are different. So you will see on your transfer credit evaluation that those credits may be listed, but in order to be awarded those, actually, you need to send your College Board transcript over to the Office of Admission.
Right, and a common question I see that popped in is the maximum number of credits that students can transfer is in fact 62. And I don't think is it 62 to then graduate from Emory, or?
It's 62 that you can bring in. That's the max that you can bring in, and 127 total to graduate from Emory.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Rebecca, for all your expertise in academic advisement. Rebecca's a rock star. You're going to be working with her team very closely this season. I strongly recommend that before you do anything academic, like register for classes or overload yourself in classes, you might want to talk to Rebecca Rigo and her team before you do so. They'll guide you in the proper way and help you to graduate from Emory. All right, so just some general questions. So back to Jill, with orientation. So are there going to be any community building activities for transfers that are going to happen during orientation, or are we just going to bring them in a room and say, hey, welcome transfers, now go do it?
All of the above. There will be some community building. A lot of those, we do social events every night. And a lot of those are optional, but we always have really great attendance because our students always want to get to know each other. And then we do have some current Emory students also join. So you're, it's primarily going to be transfer students, but you'll also have an opportunity to meet a few students who have been at Emory for a while.
And so if someone just happens to be overseas or not available for orientation, what are their options?
Yeah, we're working on that right now, what that's going to look like, because we do anticipate some students maybe not being able to get to campus in the fall. So we will have some online options for those students to make sure that you still get to meet other students and build some community, and that you still get the information you need. So we'll make sure.
All right. So I saw another housing question. Back to Sherry with housing. So if they are a second year transfer or even a third year transfer, is there possible they'll be mixed in with first year students as well?
Not first year, but yes, second year and upperclassmen. Okay.
All right. So I think they're not trying to do the freshman year thing again, because they've done that before. So they don't need it again at Emory.
Oh, and Jill just corrected me, guys. I gave you all the wrong information. When I heard that you all were starting on the 22nd, I assumed that meant you're moving on the 21st. That was incorrect. You all are all moving in if you are living on campus on the 22nd.
Now, Sherry, you bring up a good point about moving in. What do you envision the move-in process being like? Because I know in the age of COVID, there have to be a lot of protocols for doing so, but what do you think that'll look like?
Yeah, that's right. So move-in again will be the 22nd, Sunday. You'll probably have some check-in orientation stuff, I guess, later in the day, Jill. You'll have an assigned time to show up. We'll try to space, well, certainly for the first years, we space out. For the second years, some years we have and some years we haven't. So we'll see. I think, Giles, the answer is one thing that I really appreciate about Emory is that we have changed and pivoted sort of depending on what the local numbers were. And for instance, we recently changed protocol on campus to allow for bigger gatherings because we moved sort of from orange to yellow. And all this information, we have a great sort of COVID information page. So we haven't made our final plans for move-in because we know that between now and August, things may change. The date won't change. 22nd is certainly when we're ready to welcome you all. But some of the processes we had in place to sort of mitigate things might be different. So, Emory's made the announcement that we're going to require the vaccine. I'm not sure what we're going to do in terms of testing as you come in. But it's probably going to be different than what we did last fall, right? Last fall, we only allowed one person accompanying you. We haven't made that decision yet because, we want to sort of see where the numbers are and we want to make it as welcoming and easy as possible for everyone, balanced with as safe as possible for everyone. So we were very sort of rigid and cautious this year, and it really paid off because our students were well, and we were able to really take care of everyone who stayed with us on campus. So,
Sherry, can you talk about, I think I know the answer to this question, but where do most juniors live?
Juniors and seniors mainly live on the Claremont campus.
Do most juniors live on campus or off campus though?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe it's about 60 to 70% of our upperclassmen stay on campus. And they also live on Eagle Row. So our juniors and seniors are either RAs, you know, in first and second year buildings, or they live on Eagle Row, or they live on the Claremont campus.
And how far away is the Claremont campus from the campus?
So I see that looks a bit away on a map. So that's right. If you drive in your car and you drive around, it takes a little bit to get there, but you'll notice there's a shuttle route that directly connects Claremont to the center of campus. And that goes through our beautiful water park. So only our shuttles that are alternatively fueled can go on that little bridge that's a cut through. And basically it just takes 5 minutes to get to ride the shuttle from the center of campus to Claremont campus. Those shuttles run continuously because a lot of our medical staff park at the Claremont campus and take the shuttle in. On weekends, they run hourly, but during the week, they're really every like 5 to 7 minutes. So taking the shuttle is very convenient. I'll also say that on nice, beautiful days, you can walk across that bridge and it's pretty easy. I would say that I'm pretty slow and pretty out of shape, and it takes me 20 minutes. I bet it takes Jill like 7 minutes. She's way more in shape than I am. So it is, you know, if you look on the map, I don't know if you can see the little cut through bridge, but it's there and it allows quick sort of going back and forth. It's a pretty walk.
Very pretty walk, because every day in Atlanta is a beautiful day, right?
Yeah, just ignore the crazy storms happening.
Yes, not
because my
today.
internet goes out.
I also saw another question come in about a student having a really special community at their old institution, and how do transfer students kind of integrate into our community. So in our division of campus life, where Sherry's housing is, that's where Sherry's, we have a lot of student organizations that transfer students have access to. So we will do a student activities fair, or actually this next year it might be fairs, several of them. And there's over, I think, 400 undergraduate student organizations on campus that you can connect to. There is also one organization just for transfer students if you're looking to connect more with transfers. But then we have many more that have first years through our seniors. So that's something that you can take advantage of. There's also just a lot of programming that goes on campus. So my office with Campus Life, we're going to be working on a weeks of welcome calendar. And so we will make sure that you know of all of the events kind of going on campus for that first month and a half. So I definitely, getting involved in a student organization is only one way to get involved on campus. You can also go to a volleyball game. And a lot of the RAs, and we also have something called essays that are sophomore assistants. They will plan events for their floors. And so that's a really good way to get to know people and to go do things on campus, but you can obviously venture off on your own. Rebecca teaches a class called ECS 102? 101.
Yeah.
And so there's a really great community in her class that's just available for transfer students. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to build that community and get connected. And there's a lot of folks on campus that are here to help if for some reason you need a little extra help.
We've really, I feel like, upped our programming game. Somehow I'm on the listserv. They think that I'm like a student for all the programming. And I love that I'm on it because, man, they've done some really cool, innovative things despite the pandemic. I've made a point to try to hang out with students when I'm on campus, just to have some contact for my benefit, if nothing else. And you know, people have been able to find things to do. There's also shuttles that go, you know, there's the shuttles to Claremont and back, but experience shuttles that'll take you to the grocery store, that'll take you to downtown Decatur. Decatur's where I live, so I think it's great. There's like 4 ice cream shops at the end of your shuttle trip. So there's, you know, things like that that we make it easy to do. So there's a few housing questions I see. Housing, sure, you can contact me or just write housing@emory.edu and we'll get back to you. There's no deadline. It's rolling, sort of first come, first serve with housing spots. And we do have gender inclusive housing. Really, most of our housing is co-ed, but let's say Giles and I want to live together because we're good friends and we would share an apartment together off campus, but we want to share an apartment on campus. The system will allow Giles and I to match together and live in a suite together or live in an apartment together. We absolutely do that. And a lot of our students are happy for that. And yes, you can become an RA, probably not an SA because you're transferring in as a sophomore. But we would encourage you to get involved in residence life and apply to be an RA for your, not this year, but the next year coming up.
One of the best experiences I had in college was being an
Me
RA.
too.
So get to learn a whole lot about your peers as an RA and about the campus. And it might do something to you like make you a college administrator one day because you clearly did not go to college to do that. But you found yourself being a college administrator and you're much happier than you think you would have been in another career. But I digress. So I see a question about financial aid that I'll take. For transfer students, need-based aid is available for domestic transfer students. And so if you are a US citizen or permanent resident, you are eligible to receive need-based aid at Emory. You'll need to submit the FAFSA as well as a CSS profile to the Office of Financial Aid. And from there, they will give you a financial aid package. They're usually very quick about getting an award package to you. As long as your information is in, they usually can turn around an award package to you within a week, sometimes shorter than that. As far as scholarships, merit scholarships, there are no merit scholarships for transfer students. So we don't offer merit scholarships for anything that you might have earned at your previous institution, but there are none for transfer students. But need-based aid certainly is available for those who are US citizens or permanent residents. All right. Rebecca answered the question about double majoring, which I think is worth talking about, Rebecca, though. I think in my experience being an admission counselor at Emory, for prospective students looking at Emory, double major is on their mind. Everyone wants to double major. So is that possible as a transfer student?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So at Emory, you can choose two academic areas of interest. So that can be either two majors or a major and a minor. We really want to limit you at two because we want you to also explore the liberal arts. That's why you're coming to Emory, to really be able to take advantage of all of the great classes that we offer through our general education program. So you're limited to two. You don't have to do two. We hear a lot of students who are like, I want to do two. I want to do more than two. And you are fine to just do one major. You have to do at least one major. But you certainly can do a double major or a major and a minor coming in as a transfer student. It's really going to depend on your timeline. So how much time you are planning to spend at Emory, how many credits you are bringing in from your previous institution that will count towards that major and minor. So that's something that we will talk to you about in your individual advising appointment. We'll look over your transfer credit evaluation with you, see what you have credit for, look at the requirements for that major or minor, and really figure out how much time you have left to complete those majors and minors, and if that's the best plan for you, or if you are really wanting to, finish at Emory in 2 years or less, thinking about how you can maybe just do one major and explore your interest in other ways.
All right, so I see an easy question that just popped in. Rebecca, you and I can probably tag team on this answer. Of course, the student is interested in attending medical school, as a lot of our students are. So what advice can we share? My wife is a dentist, and she tries to make anyone a dentist who wants to go to medical school, because she wanted to go to medical school, but ended up going to dental school. But her advice is always, first, get involved with the pre-health advising program. And second, make sure that you're taking all the prerequisite courses that you need. There's no particular major that's required, but take prerequisite courses and you're set to be a good applicant for medical school, dental school, pharmacy school, or the like. So anything else you want to add to that, Rebecca, if anything, or did I cover it?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I will just add that we have a phenomenal pre-health advising team in our office. They are full-time advisors who work only with students who are interested in medical school. And Emory's pre-health team is really unique, I think, from other institutions that I've seen. They work very closely with the students, meeting with them throughout multiple times during the year. They have mandatory check-ins to make sure that they're doing all of the things that they need to do to give them the best shot of getting into medical school. They write a very comprehensive letter for each student that applies to medical about why they would be a very strong applicant. And so very unique. I think our students who come in pursuing medicine it's a huge asset for those students. So I will put the link for their office in the chat here. And I will just answer a quick question that I've seen twice now here about the GPA. And that's right. So your GPA from your previous institution does not transfer over to Emory. You start fresh. You all have a 4.0 now going into Emory. So it's a fresh slate for you.
All right. I saw another question that's worth discussing.
And Anna, just to be sure, courtesy scholarship only applies to tuition. That's correct.
Yes, good call on that. And Rebecca, back to you, because our students that we admit to Emory University are very ambitious and they want to get started like yesterday. So can they reach out to an advisor beforehand, or do we have to wait to be connected with them?
Yeah, they do have to wait. So right now we're in the process of wrapping up the school year, as I'm sure that many of you are, and also gearing up for registration for the upcoming year. So you really need to have deposited. We have an appointment system where you will schedule an appointment with your general advisor and where you'll be able to schedule an appointment with your pre-health advisor. So once you have your submitted your deposit, you will get access to that appointment system. And when you have that, you can log in and schedule an appointment with your pre-health advisor. They do start seeing transfer students as early as the summer. So you probably wouldn't see them this month, but you should be able to see them in the coming months.
So a question is, do we need to do this? Should they deposit before June 1st? No, you don't have to deposit before June 1st, but June 1st is the deadline for submitting your transfer deposit. That lets us know that you're planning to come to Emory. So yes, Annie, the courtesy scholarship for Emory employees, that scholarship does apply to just tuition, not room and board. All right.
I did see someone ask about fraternity or sorority rush. I think it was Sorority Rush. And I texted my colleagues in that area. Questions about it, you should write, and I'll put this osfl@emory.edu. But I think there is continuous open bidding in the fall. The men certainly do a lot of recruiting in the fall. However, the big main sort of sorority fraternity, IFC Rush happens in January for our first year students. MPC groups will also be MPHC groups, MGC groups. They will be certainly doing intake in the fall as well.
So Sherry, are you able to join that same fraternity or sorority that you may have been a member of?
So I am not an expert on Greek life, but I would ask OSFL. I believe, yeah, if you're a member of that group, you're a member of that group. It doesn't matter which campus. So, which buildings are available for rising sophomore transfers? The answer to that is anywhere we have spots, and we certainly have places open up. We just finished sophomore housing selection, and I know you just asked about Few and Evans. Those do tend to be the most popular buildings. They're on Eagle Row. Those are full right now with a wait list, but right at the moment, I still have a few spots spotted around in Woodruff and Harris, a couple, but I haven't finished my whole sophomore process. So those will become available over the summer as we have students decide to take a semester off or study abroad. But yeah, if you apply right now, again, you can let us know your preferences and we'll work with you. And if you're open to our Eagle Row housing, that's certainly wide open right now too. You do have to live on campus before you're an RA. And you can always, yes, you could live off campus now and apply to be an RA for the next academic year. Talk again about the transfer business student block housing I mentioned. Yeah, it's something I just talked to my colleagues in the business school about. It's the first year in a while that they're allowing direct transfers into the business school. And, you know, the piece about that sounds intriguing to them is it might help build a community if we have a few business school students sort of blocked together.
And Rebecca, I see a question that you might be suited to answer. So can transfers at the College of Arts and Sciences also minor in something at Goizueta?
Yes and no. There are some special concentrations. I guess the answer is no, but there are some special concentrations that are, and I can pull them up and stick them in the chat here, that are a collaboration between the college and the business school that students can do if they're interested in those particular areas. I think there's maybe just 2 or 3 of them that you have to apply to do. It's a special concentration, but college students cannot just choose to do marketing or communications to do a major in those business school areas. So I'll find those and put them in the chat for whoever's interested.
All right, and I know you're putting that in the chat, but I think a question's popped in, it'd be good to answer, and it might be an answer that each one of you can give. I know that families are sending their students from some places very far away to attend Emory. They're making big investments to attend Emory, and so they are concerned whether or not the student will fall between the cracks, or what do we do, what mechanisms are in place if a student is in danger of not doing well. I know that this probably could be an answer that the 3 of us can all answer, or the 4 of us can answer, being that Emory is a big community, but whoever wants to jump in is welcome to.
Yeah, I can start a little bit, and I'll talk specifically about transfer students so that you can learn more about the support that Emory provides specifically to transfer students. In addition to the advising appointments that we will be doing throughout June, we also will be doing a check of all of our transfer students over the summer to make sure that students are enrolled in enough classes, have a balanced course load, and really are setting themselves up well going into the fall semester. We also are going to be initiating this year mandatory advising for transfer students. So we'll be checking in with all transfer students in the fall and potentially also in the spring, just to really make sure that students are doing well academically, that they feel that they have transitioned to Emory well and have found their community. Sometimes these appointments start off as academic advising appointments, but they end up just kind of going all over, right? Because your academics is just one part of your experience at Emory. So we love talking to students about their transition overall. So we'll be meeting with transfer students several times throughout the course of the year. And then just tangentially, we also have a system where students who, if you're struggling in any way, faculty notify our office and we reach out to students if there's any concern from faculty. So we really are coming at it in 2 directions. We're being proactive about meeting with all students. And then if any students are falling through the crack, faculty or even other students or parents can submit a notice to our office so that we can reach out and check in and help get them back on track.
Right. Thank you for that, Rebecca. Sherry, I'm just curious if you notice student might be having some challenges on the housing side. Are there mechanisms in place in housing where that might be caught?
I'm sorry, the challenges for like, oh, if in housing?
Like, you know, if an RA, I remember this happening as an RA, I recognize a student was probably like having a hard time and was really struggling.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have an awesome Res Life staff, and their job really is to build community and stay in touch with you. And they especially take care with our transfer students, but they all have these things called, they used to be called Coke chats, where they, you know, have a soda, sit down, have a meeting with your RA, talk about things, talk about you know, getting involved, what's going on. Certainly. And in all the buildings I've mentioned, there's great RA staff in all the buildings. In House 15, there'll be an RA that'll be just there for transfer students, specifically sort of trained for that, but also MLAU, BSA, and in all of our other buildings. So RAs are great sort of knowledge holders for all the resources on campus, and you know, they're there to help you find your people, right? Coming into a new place is about finding your people. And what I love about Emory is we're such a diverse community with so many interesting, bright, awesome people with tons of energy. There's something for everyone, and you know, your people are here at Emory, and we'll be sure that we help you find them.
So I'm going to answer a question I just saw that popped in about safety in Georgia and in Atlanta. And I'll start with Emory campus. Emory campus is a very safe community. We have a outstanding police department at Emory University. It does a great job of securing the campus and also in the neighborhood community. But a great thing about attending college in Atlanta, I found this to be true as a college student in Atlanta, is that you have so many other colleges in Atlanta, so it's like you have one big college community in the city. There's a lot of people that are in the same place as you are in life. They're kind of figuring things out. So it really helps the transition to the city pretty well. But also I'll add that, you know, the city of Atlanta is just like any major city across the world that you find. So the kind of precautions that you take in any major city, you certainly will need to take in Atlanta. But Atlanta is not a place where I think you should be in fear of your life, because you're certainly not. And it's a place, contrary to popular belief, that there's the first thought throughout the city of Atlanta. We have people from all walks of life who live in Atlanta, and all opinions or all persuasions in life live in Atlanta. And so it really makes for a very harmonious environment in Atlanta. So I won't be surprised for the person to ask the question. This tends to happen, that students come to Atlanta and then when they graduate, they tend to stay in Atlanta. So, it can happen. So I see another question that I'm going to answer also about visiting Emory. So yes, you certainly may visit Emory. We are not conducting in-person tours, but we are conducting virtual tours that you'll use your mobile device, your smartphone, to guide you throughout campus. And so on the smart device, we will have campus, a tour guide on the device that will give you information about each building that you're walking towards. But I'm going to post in the chat a link to schedule a virtual or in-person tour of campus. You are certainly welcome to do so. Masks are required, so if you are looking to do that, you have to wear a mask in your time on campus. All right.
Yeah, and you know, just keep in mind when you come to campus in 2 weeks, really next week are finals and folks will be moving out. So it may not feel quite, like it does. Normally we have a huge summer program on campus in the summer, and we're not having that this summer. Really, we're all focusing on getting everything ready for the fall. Quickly, we don't allow pets in our buildings. Yes, we allow service animals and ESA, or emotional support animals. You can get all the information you need for ESA on our accessibility website. Basically, the process is they approve it. Once they approve it, then you also meet with my office to make sure your roommates are okay with it, and your pet has your emotional support animal, not pet, has the proper paperwork.
Right. So I see a question about masks. I think we'll answer real quick. Yes, they are required in all buildings. Outdoors, you're not required to wear a mask, but it's certainly in all buildings you are required to wear a mask. All right, so I think we're coming towards the end of our time here. It was a pleasure indeed speaking with each and every one of you. We are really hopeful that you will choose Emory as your next educational home. As I stated earlier, we really intentionally chose each and every one of you to attend Emory for a very particular reason. And we really feel that if each one of you attends Emory, or when one of you attends Emory, there's going to be something that's going to be brought to campus that we've never had before. We hope that you choose us to be your home. It's a great home, I do believe. But if you have other questions, I'm going to put my email address in the chat, and Jill and Rebecca and Sherry, if you want to do the same, you certainly can send us messages, and we will be glad to get back with you as well. Do you guys have any parting words you want to give?
Just thank you for being here with us, and we are so excited to meet you in August. Emory is a wonderful place to be, and we hope to see you.
Can't wait to welcome everyone on campus.
Yes, looking forward to talking to you all more the month of May and June, and hopefully seeing you on campus in the fall.
All right, well, with that, we will bid everyone adieu, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Bye.